Hey, what's up, guys? Mac D. Welcome back. Today we are joined by Officer Leipold. Did I say that right?
You did. You said it perfectly.
Awesome. From the normal police department in Illinois. So he is probably our furthest guest that we've had on the show, and so very excited to get him here. He's been there for almost 25 years, so we're super glad to have him. All right, officer, let's get this started. So what is your favorite fast food restaurant?
My favorite fast food restaurant is Chipotle, if you count it as a fast food restaurant. I go there at least twice a week, probably more most weeks.
Yeah. And then what do you like to get, a bowl or a burrito? What do you get there?
I get a bowl. As you can tell, I'm a pretty big guy, so less calories the better.
Okay.
So I get a bowl. I usually get steak and I get guac.
Okay.
Gotta get guac.
Yeah. What is your favorite holiday?
So there's two.
Okay.
Christmas is obviously one of the tops, but because I love Christmas, but the other part is Thanksgiving. That's because everybody has Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So chance to spend the entire 4 days with family.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. What is the favorite place that you've traveled to in the United States?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. And why was it your favorite?
I go there. My wife and I go there at least once a year. We go there for this Country Music Association Fest.
Okay.
We're several 100,000 people down there, and we spend a week down there with my in-laws, and it's just a lot of fun. It's in good country music, good music.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So let's dive into this. So why did you want to be a first responder?
Well, it comes back to, and I always say this when people ask this question, it's the corny answer. I wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. And it rings true. I mean, that's why I've done it for almost 25 years, and that's why I'm still doing it. The position I'm in now is community service. So I feel it's even more prevalent now that I get to help people more of a one-on-one. I can follow things through and make sure the customers are happy with the product.
Yeah. So what did you do before community service?
Oh gosh, I was on the street for 20 years.
Okay.
So I've been in this position for 4.5, almost 5, actually.
Okay.
I was a patrol officer in uniform for 20 years. During that 20 years, I was on our SWAT team.
Okay.
I took part in DARE. I was a team leader for the SWAT team for a couple of years, and I was an assistant team leader for the SWAT team for a couple of years. So I served on the SWAT team for 11 years of my career. And yeah, I've done all kinds of different things. Bike patrol. I mean, the only thing I haven't been is a detective in this department, basically.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. So leading up to that, how was your training? How long was it and where was it?
So our training, when you get hired, you go away. Back when I was hired, it was 10 weeks. We went to the University of Illinois for PTI, or Police Training Institute. Okay. And during that 10 weeks, it's a pretty intense 10 weeks where you learn the laws, you learn handcuffing techniques, you learn how to shoot or how to be a better shooter. And so it's pretty intense. I would go to school we'd get up for PT at about 6 a.m. and I wouldn't be back in my dorm room, because we actually did live on the dorm, till 9 p.m. most nights. Okay. So it was pretty intense.
So all day for sure. Do you have a funniest memory that you can think of from training?
From training, no, not so much fun. The reason I say that, it was all I wanted to do was succeed, as you might expect. So fun wasn't in my vocabulary, at least initially on training. I will say that the guys and gals that I went to training with, we all had fun. Yeah. But nothing in particular that I would honestly say was fun in training.
Yeah, like any stories of like people messing up that just was like made you chuckle or anything like that?
Well, I remember thinking one of the guys that came in was rather large. Okay. And I remember thinking how is he going to pass the PT test? And obviously one of those things, it shouldn't have been funny at the time, but we had to have some sort of release. Yeah. And he did not pass the run. He didn't even make a lap of a 6-lap turn. So that was rather interesting. And in all honesty, it's the lack of knowledge. I look back at that. The lack of knowledge that I think of right now is extremely funny, because of course, coming in as a 25-year-old, I thought I knew everything, and it turns out I knew less than nothing. So.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens to you once you complete your training?
So you come under our department and you are enrolled, or you're put in the FTO program, which is Field Training Officer program.
Okay.
You do 3 different stints. I say that you're doing 4 weeks with one FTO, another 4 weeks with another FTO, and another 4 weeks with another FTO. So you're with 3 FTOs. You do a month at a time, basically, and then for your final 2 weeks of FTO, you go out on your own. It's called your solo period. And at that solo period, your original FTO, who took you in, basically green behind the ears kind of thing, wet behind the ears and, green and not knowing anything. He, at the time, it was only males that were our FTOs. He evaluates you and basically makes the decision on whether or not you stay based on how much smarter, honestly, how much wiser, I should say, how much more wise you are than when you came in.
Okay. So once you get past all that, what does a day in the life look like for you? You can talk about a day in the life when you were patrol and then what you do now.
So the day in the life of the patrol is exactly part of the reason why I became a police officer. I didn't think I could sit behind a desk and for the rest of my life at the age of 25. I had done that. I was 25, so I graduated from college and was behind a desk for several years before I became a police officer. And so the day in life it's funny. The world of policing is completely different, at least in the town of Normal, from shift to shift to shift. So you've got your day shift, which is one world, your second shift, which is 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., which is another world. And then you have our 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, which is even another world. Yeah. And so each one of those worlds is completely different. I spent 14 years of my patrol shift on night shift. So my typical shift really literally would light up right when I came to work at 11 p.m. and it was dealing with, we're in a college town, Illinois State University is where we are. And it would light up right at 11 o'clock with the drunk college kids causing trouble, doing damage to property, getting in fights because they're intoxicated, breaking things, whatever it was, burglarizing, thieving. I mean, so it was busy from 11 o'clock to about 2:33 in the morning. And then that's the time where we would go out and we would be able to check businesses and stuff like that. So the typical life of a police officer is not typical at all. And that's exactly why I became a police officer.
Yeah, for sure. And then what do you do now?
So right now, my job, is behind a desk. In fact, that's my desk.
Okay.
Right? But for saying that I didn't ever want to be behind a desk, this is a completely different thing. I get the opportunity to help citizens with specific problems that maybe somebody in patrol wouldn't be able to help with. I also run all of our social media platforms. So our Facebook page, our Twitter page, we have a nextdoor.com account. Yeah. We have a website, we have an app. I run all of those. But my presentations, I have 3 presentations tomorrow on identity theft. Starting at 9 a.m., I will present to a group of probably 40 to 50 seniors. I will go to another senior citizens. I go to another identity theft presentation at 10:30, and then I finish up at 2 o'clock with another one. So I do a lot of presentations, and my most frequent presentation is identity theft and how to avoid becoming a victim. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's the number one crime that it's ballooned since I came on the police department. We didn't even have computers when I came on. So now identity theft is rampant compared to what I used to deal with when I came on the police department. So I think I'm able to affect more people's lives more immediately in this role.
Okay, yeah, for sure. What is one of the favorite places I get to travel to because of being a first responder, whether it was a conference that you went to or anything like that?
So unfair again. I was able to travel as a DARE officer to Nashville, Tennessee. And that's actually what honestly tipped me off to how wonderful a place it was. We got to stay in the Opryland Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And that is one of the places. I got to actually travel to Washington D.C. too through a conference. It's a fantastic place as well. I mean, obviously historic and patriotic and all that, depending on how you approach it. And I approached it like that. So
yeah, cool. What we've talked about it a little bit, but just what is one of your favorite things to do as a first responder? If you could pick like one specific thing.
One specific thing. Anytime I get the opportunity to influence a kid, kids are my favorite. So we have a week-long youth program, and if I could do that for the rest of my life, I probably would. We take 50 kids and we spend a week with them, doing all kinds of different team building exercises. We want them to see us in a completely different light. Well, in fact, the shirt that I wear is one of the shirts that I'm wearing is one of the shirts we wear. So we don't dress in uniform. Gotcha. Most of the week is spent in t-shirts and shorts and hanging out with the kids. And if I could do that, if I could affect the life of a kid, that's the one thing that I would choose to do every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a really great question that I think is becoming more applicable to modern life. So how do you balance your work and personal life?
So now it's not as difficult. Obviously, I'm on days with weekends off. However, those 14 years that I was on night shift, I had cruddy days off. I mean, we're talking, sometimes it was Monday, Tuesday, sometimes it was Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes it was Wednesday, Thursday. How you balance it off is you have to remember, at least for me, I remembered that I'm working to spend time with my family.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those officers that chose to work as much overtime as I could. I chose to sleep less so I could coach my son in football and coach my daughter in softball and hang out with my family as opposed to that. And I think that if you realize that you're working to spend time with your family, it becomes easier to have that family as a priority.
Okay, yeah, that's a good mindset for it. This is one of my favorite questions. Is there an act of courage in someone else they'd be willing to share? Now, it can be something that you saw firsthand on patrol, another officer or a civilian or something like that, or something that you just heard about.
An act of, I couldn't hear your hand went over your mouth. Act of courage that I've seen?
Yeah, an act of courage.
So on the SWAT team, that was 11 years, and 5 of it I was assistant team leader or team leader. And I would argue that my teammates, the act of courage that they showed on every call out. We went, for those 11 years, we were on 130 different call outs, roughly. Wow. Actually a little bit more. And I think back to that, and we never had a suspect get hurt. We never had an officer get hurt. We never had to go past any more than verbal persuasion. And I think back to that team atmosphere and how courageous every single one of my teammates was. During every single, I mean, you're going into a situation. The only time we were allowed to get called out is when we knew the bad guys or girls had guns. We knew that. So we knew going in that we were probably going to find a gun in whatever dwelling that they were in. And it's easy to sit here and say that, well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do as a SWAT officer, but no, you don't have to do it. And they took the choice to serve every warrant with the extreme and professionalism. And again, we never had anybody hurt. We never had anybody complain on us. And we're arresting some pretty bad guys and gals. And I think that's an act of courageous behavior is every time that they went out.
Yeah, that's an awesome track record. So if you could go back over, I know you haven't finished your career yet, but if you could start over and do it all again, would you?
Yes, I would. There's obviously little twists and little turns that I would have made instead of the ones I did. Yeah. I wouldn't give up my SWAT team time for anything. It was fun. And again, I obviously you could tell it was a great thing.
Yeah. What 3 words would you use to describe being a first responder?
Strong, in both mental and physical. Determined, and with that, there's also the determined to avoid the conflict that you have. And I would also argue more along the lines of strong, bulletproof. Think back to the Bulletproof Mind. Have you read that book?
I have not.
You need to, because you would like it. I could see your Glock flag in the background, and you would very much Bulletproof Mind. And the way it is in today's society, as you probably know, there's a lot more negative coming down for police officers than really. And I look around, and I have 85 people on this department with me, and I just think all these people go through their days, getting criticized after criticism, receiving criticism after criticism, and they still go out and do an extremely professional job. And I'm biased, but I think I have the best police department around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think for how much stuff y'all have to deal with and how many factors, y'all do a really, really good job. So I think y'all are doing great. Awesome. That's all the questions I have. Thank you for your time. Thank you for service. God bless you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great one.